Hey there, YouTube, it's Kurt here. Today I'm going to talk about Nibiru and some comments about Nibiru that I've seen online that are just blatantly false. And if you're going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! At the competitive level, you need to understand how card effects actually work. Alright, so Zombie World says you cannot tribute summon monsters except zombie monsters. And that's all well and good, but the thing we need to understand about Nibiru is that unlike Sphere Mode, Nibiru is not a tribute summoned monster. Let me explain. Yes, you are tributing monsters at the end of the activated effect, but that does not mean you are actually performing the action of tribute summoning. You see, tribute summoning can only be done via a normal summon. Alright, so you cannot special summon and have that count as a tribute summon. That's the difference. Nibiru is a special summoned monster that has tributes as part of its effect resolution. So we need to be able to understand how card effects like this work. So let me read word for word what this card actually does. During the main phase, if your opponent normal or special summoned 5 or more monsters this turn, quick effect, you can tribute as many face-up monsters on the field as possible. So what you're going to want to see there is colon. When cards have an effect that has a colon after it, which most of them do, that means everything that happened before the colon is the effect activation. And before everything after the colon happens, your opponent is allowed to respond. Now, there are some cases where there is an extra like semicolon that has other things, but for all intents and purposes, this part is the parts before the colon is the only part that initially activates before your opponent can respond. So you do not tribute for cost. You activate your effect in hand, and then if your opponent can't stop it, then it resolves. You can tribute as many face-up monsters on the field as possible, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. Then special 1 Primal Being token to your opponent's field. This token's attack defense becoming fine, blah 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 blah. You can only use this effect of Nibiru the Primal Being once per turn. So as you can see here, it says special summon this card from your hand. Alright, and that the special summon isn't really, it's not obviously not a normal summon, and the tributing is just part of this effect. It's not part of what is required for the summon. You can, theoretically, maybe you could tribute 0, but I think Konami would rule that otherwise. You can activate the effect, and if there was like Eater of Millions on the field, it wouldn't resolve. But that's just there's a very rare case where this actually could be activated and not actually resolved. It'd be actually pretty crazy. Alright, so understanding that if you try to use Zombie World to counter this card in an actual event, an experienced player will call a judge, maybe laugh at you, and then get the judge to have his ruling in your favor. All right, so another thing that's important about this card. All right, so it says during the main phase. So another thing you need to understand about this card is that you and your opponent need to agree to change phases. So if your opponent says main phase and then it's his first turn, and then he says proceed to end phase, you can say, oh, wait a minute, I have an effect. Then you can activate Nibiru. So don't let anyone rule shark you about that at all. You can pretty much always activate this before the phase actually changes, because you both have to agree to the phase change in order. In general, it doesn't matter what the phase is, you have to agree to go from standby phase, draw phase to standby phase to main phase, or from main phase to end phase, or blah, blah, blah. All right, so these are probably the most important things that you need to know about this card, and if you guys have any other questions about this card that are relevant, I think there's probably many points of confusion I think the casual player would have about this card, but I'm here to explain all those things. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If you have any more questions or you want any other rulings explained in any other videos or any other cards, I will be happy to do so. So I appreciate it, guys. Peace.